All right. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Play Your Faves, the show where I take your favorite characters from video games, TV, anime, movies, books, whatever, and I turn them into an AL legal character sheet so you can play them at your next D&D game if you want. So today, I know it has been a long time since player faves, and just since I've made a video at all. It's been a couple weeks. I can only say life has been rough, but I'm trying to get back on track with all this stuff. So today I am doing something I think is really interesting, to be honest. The character I'm creating is Terry McGinnis, who is Batman Beyond. Basically, there was a TV show in the late 90s, early 2000s called Batman Beyond. It was about a future Gotham where Bruce Wayne was too old to be Batman anymore. Terry McGinnis is the guy that takes over for him, and Bruce Wayne basically becomes his mentor and guy in the chair. I loved this series when I was a kid. And personally, I liked Terry McGinnis and Batman Beyond more than the original Cape Crusader. Not saying, Bruce Wayne is bad or anything like that. I just really like the aesthetic. I liked Terry's attitude, everything. So today, that's what we're doing. And I've chosen, I intentionally chose a very weird combination to create Terry, just because the last character I did had some monk stuff in them, and but Batman is very much hand-to-hand combat. I just didn't want to fall into just doing this the same thing over again and using my personal favorite class over and over again. So without any further ado, let's get into the build itself. So the first thing you will notice is Batman is a cleric druid. Now, hear me out. I chose these on purpose. The thing I focused on with Terry and just the character of Batman in general is they are the ultimate detective. Now, Terry is a little bit more combat oriented than but Bruce was. Bruce was an absolute genius. He had an eye for detail and this incredible analytical mind. And so, Batman was the ultimate detective. Terry is still a really good detective, especially with Bruce in his ear. But he tends to be a little bit more physical and rely a little less on investigations, somewhat. Again, the whole idea is Batman is the ultimate detective and crime fighter. So those are the things they're going to be focusing on. Is Batman's ability to discover things, learn things, research his enemy, and his ability to kind of control his enemies through fear, misdirection, the things like that. So that's what this build is going to focus on. So for first things first, let's look at stats. You can see strength 14, dex 10, con 14 because he can take a punch. Now, for Batman himself, especially Batman Beyond, it might be more ideal to make him a high dex character. simply because that would kind of fit with his very acrobatic fighting style. However, with how clerics work, and when you really look at what he does, the new bat suit for Terry augments his strength and durability. So a lot of the things like jumping and flipping over him is just as much the bat suit giving him incredible strength to be able to do these large jumps and flips as it is his own ability to control his body. So I'm okay going the strength route over dexterity. And again, it fits with how the cleric works. So intelligence to 12, again, with him being the ultimate detective, he does need to have some intelligence, and then wisdom is going to be what he uses for just about everything. He'll use it for perception checks to look for bad guys. He'll use it to power most of his abilities, which is how most of his magic, which is how we simulate all the different things that bat suit can do, and all the different gadgets and the things like that. So, and then charisma of 8. And this is another thing that might throw you for a bit, because again, Batman was a master at intimidating and terrifying his opponents. And I have a way for this character to do that. I'm just not using charisma because Terry himself didn't have many friends. He was not good at making friends. It was basically Max and his girlfriend, and that was about it. He didn't get along with a lot of people at school. He was kind of antisocial. He was a bright kid, but he hid it behind anger and angst, so he didn't do great in school. So I think a low charisma score actually kind of fits Terry more than it would Bruce if I was building Bruce. That stuff is just, this is stuff you need for the game. We have armor class of 18. I'll explain how that works in a little bit, but Batman is hard to hit, and I built this character to be someone that can take some punishment. Batman is one of the few superheroes in DC that is completely human. There's nothing about him that is superhuman other than the gadgets and the things that he has. Even his intellect is technically peak human. And the reason he can go up against superhumans is he has honed everything to work at peak human levels, and then added on gizmos and gadgets to make what he can do superhuman. So yeah, he's tough to hit. Speed is that. Initiative, again, all based on stats. We'll talk about this in just a second, but that's going to be his main ability to fight opponents. That's going to be the replacement for his martial arts and just beating people up. And then this is everything else. So let's talk about how we built in the subclasses we chose. For the cleric, I actually chose the Arcana Divine Domain, and this is specifically to fit into that ultimate detective mindset. Again, Batman is the ultimate detective, and the bat suit itself gives Terry enhanced senses. He can get X-ray vision. He can get telescoping hearing, and he can push his fingers against stuff and be able to hear things through walls. And the Arcana domain kind of allows him to do that. It gives him to detect magic, which in a medieval setting is basically all the little filters he would have in his eyesight for the bat suit, all of those kind of roll into detect magic. So that's a really important part of him just playing the way he's supposed to. The other thing it does actually fits into that idea of Batman being able to control fear. All clerics get channel divinities. And the channel divinity that all clerics get is turn undead, which basically affects undead in a certain area, and it makes them fear you. When they're turned, they have to run away, and if they can't, they have to defend. They are terrified, which is a very Batman kind of thing to scare all his opponents. The only issue with turn undead is it only works on dead. So the Arcana domain gives you Arcane Abjuration. Now, Arcane Abjuration can only affect one target instead of all of them within a radius, but it expands what he can fear to include Fae, Fiends, Elementals, and there was one other that I can't remember. Basically, just about everything except for beasts and humanoids and dragons that you're going to be fighting. So that really expands his ability to control and fear his opponents, which is a very Batman the thing to do. Now, with that, we also have the Druid. Now, I don't think I have played with a cleric Druid before, and building this character, I think I kind of know why. Building this character was unbelievably complicated, to the point where I actually had to put clerics can have as a cleric he can prepare 8 cleric spells, and a druid he can prepare 7 druid spells a day. The nice thing about both clerics and druids is they have access to their entire spell list. And that means, again, just like Batman, they can prepare the little gadgets and gizmos that they need for the particular encounter they're going to go against. A very Batman kind of thing. You'll see when he knows he's going against a very certain individual, like he's going against the Joker, he'll inoculate himself against Joker's laughing gas. If he's going against Scarecrow, he might bring a rebreather or something so that he doesn't have to worry about the hallucinogenics that Scarecrow uses. He's very much a prepare type thing, and both clerics and druids will also fit into that idea, because they are very situationally prepared classes. Every morning they can prepare a new list of spells depending on what they need. Now, as a druid, the wild shape isn't really that useful. We'll talk about it at the very end, but we won't be using that much. However, Circle of the Land, again, gives him access to more spells, and a natural recovery, which allow him to regain a few spells between rest, which is very useful. Now, the other thing I did, because this is a human, I took the heavily armored feat. The Arcana domain does not give you proficiency in heavy armor, and again, Batman's batsuit is armored. Specifically, Terry's batsuit as much as it looks like spandex, it's not. And you see quite often in the show where parts of it will get ripped, and there's circuitry and reinforcement all throughout this suit. So having him be heavily armored simply makes sense. I also have him using a shield because again, the bat suit itself does kind of act in a similar way as armor and a shield. It's just a very strong, kind of powerful, protective garment. To the point where with the original bat suit, Batman would actually use his cape quite often to shield himself. There aren't there isn't a cape on the Beyond suit, but it fits. And again, it fits into the idea that Batman can take punishment. So the big thing that's going to define this character is this spells. So let's go through them pretty quick here. So with this, using the Arcana domain, your +1 book for the Adventures League, it's going to be this Sword Coast Adventures Guide. Because of that, we can get access to a couple spells that will just expand what he can do. I do have to check something. I might have done something wrong here, which is really simple to fix, to be honest. I have to see. That's what it is. The other thing with the Arcana domain is you actually get extra spells that aren't normally cleric's spells. So that's how I can have a spell on there that he's not supposed to. So yeah, first level you get 2 cantrips of your choice from the wizard's spell list, but they count as cleric spells. So both of these right here are not cleric spells normally. They're the Arcana domain, and they're going to be really important. Shocking Grasp is basically all of his martial arts abilities rolled into a single attack. Now, the cool thing with this is the bat suit itself could actually electrify the gloves, the Beyond bat suit. So this actually fits a double method of giving him a way to punch people for damage, and let him play like that, and also allowing him to use the shocking ability of the bat suit. Sword Burst is there because Batman is really good at fighting lots of enemies. Sword Burst basically hits everyone next to him with force damage, which can very easily be flavor text as him just jumping into a bunch of bad guys and punching and kicking them all around him. And with it being a cantrip that levels up as he levels up, those two abilities are going to be really good for letting him just kind of go to town on bad guys. Guidance is how we kind of fit in Bruce, who's a voice in his ear. Most of the time, Bruce is back in the Bat Cave, so you can use guidance. Light just makes sense. He has lights. Mending to fix the suit. Resistance, again, to kind of fit into that idea that the bat suit can take a beating. Thorn Whip is another one that we actually get from being a druid this time. Terry has kind of grappling ropes and the things like that he can use to pull people and to tie them up. He can attach them to batarangs, which we'll get to in a second here. So Thorn Whip allows him to literally do that, to go and throw a batarang or something and pull them towards him so he can follow up with punches and kicks and things like that using a shocking grasp and sword burst. So, and then Druidcraft, I just needed another spell. Like I said, this was such an exhausting build because of how many spells I had to go through. It was nuts. Now, the other thing you'll notice, he has access to level the 3 and 4 spells, but he doesn't know anything. That's the issue with multi-classing casters. Their total spells that they can cast are going to be based on the combination of spell casting levels that they have. So both druids and clerics are full caster, so they get the same casting ability as a level 7 character. However, because they're only a level 4 cleric and the 3 druid, they can only learn up to level 2 spells. Now, they can cast these spells at higher levels, which will become very, very useful with a bunch of these abilities. But that's the kind of turn off that you get when you do a multi-class caster. I still think with what we have here, it fits. So let's go through here. Now, you're going to see that these are all the different spells he has prepared from both druid and cleric. But a few of them in inflict wounds, again, kind of fits into that flavoring of Batman just be really good at attacking and being able to take out people. A lot of times with a single punch or just a couple, if you cast inflict wounds at level 4, you're going to do a lot of damage, especially if you crit. That's one of the nice things about inflict wounds. Is it does have an attack roll, and that does mean that you can waste it, but it means when it crits, it does crazy damage. Bane is just something that kind of fits with how Batman fights. A lot of times, Batman will create situations where the enemies and the bad guys hurt themselves just as often as he hurts them. So that Bane just kind of fits in there. Shield of Faith is just another the thing of the bat suit in proving his ability to take blows from really powerful creatures. Cure Wounds, he's a cleric. He has to have Cure Wounds. Ignore that for the Batman part. Though, again, Batman does know how to set his own bones and the things like that. Detect magic, we talked about before. That's all the different little filters he can use. Magic missile is his batarangs. They never miss. As you cast them at higher levels, he's just throwing them. And the batsuit itself, the Beyond Batsuit, can actually fire them instead of just throwing them. And batarangs themselves can have so many different configurations. So you can have shotting batarangs or explosive batarangs or smoke-making batarangs. So you're going to see a lot of batarangs in here. Magic missiles is just your standard regular batarangs. Jumping long strider, again, fit into that very mobile aspect of Batman and the bat suit itself, where they can jump and flip and run really fast and things like that. So that's what those are for. Now, the reason we took the druid, and we specifically chose, and I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't think I listed it here. We chose you choose a land when you choose Circle of the Land. I gotta add this here because I totally forgot. think it's grassland is the one we want. So I'm going to write that in. Totally forgot about that. And the reason we take grassland is these two things: invisibility and passo out trace. The Beyond Batsuit can actually turn invisible, and it's one of the most useful things that Terry does. Because again, while he is a little bit more physical than Bruce was, a lot of episodes, I think almost all of them, have him scouting areas, sneaking around, and so he uses his cloak ability often. Pass without a trace is the other aspect of it. Now, with both of those being concentration, he can't use them at the same time, but they have different uses in different periods where they are useful. So both fit into that detective aspect. Enhanceability again is just the bat suit itself, giving him more things. Hold person is a taser batarang, where he can throw it and paralyze someone with a batarang. Spiritual weapon. The thing, the other cool thing about Batman Beyond, the Batmobile flies first of all, and is remote controlled. So I thought spiritual weapon could be the Batmobile, because there are a lot of situations where either Terry calls it in, or Bruce just drives it in from the controlling it from the Batcave, and the Batmobile does damage. So I just like the idea of being able to call the Batmobile using spiritual weapon. Zone of Truth just fits into his ability to interrogate people, and again, learn more information as the ultimate detective. Magic weapon just enhances his ability to deal damage when he does. Nistel's magic aura, I can't even remember. It's one of the things you get from Arcana domain. So it's just there. And then the rest of this stuff is just more of his detective aspect. Find traps, very detective kind of thing. Locate object, locate animals. It's supposed to be or plants. All the three of those things make him super good at combing through a crime scene, at locating things, at investigating things, and then add in dark vision, because he operates at night often, and you've got the ultimate detective. And then lesser restoration, because he's a cleric. As much as, yes, I do want to make Batman Beyond, and make him be able to play true to the character. If you're playing this at an AL table and you are a cleric that doesn't have cure wounds or lesser resto, you're going to make enemies. So that's just to kind of fit it into D&D. Now, again, everything except the ones that have these little markers filled in are spells he prepared that day. I took the ones that made the most sense to give him a lot of different abilities. But literally, you can choose any cleric spells in the PHB or in Sword Coast Adventures Guide, which I don't think there's any extra spells there. For AL rules, you're not allowed to use spells from anything other than the PHB and your +1, and the +1 is the Skags. So, and the same is true about Druid spells. Any spell from either of those two lists, he can prepare, so he can be ready for any situation after he, researches and discovers every the thing. which again, very Batman-ish. Now, the one thing I couldn't get to work was I couldn't get the fly spell. Fly, I believe, is second or the third level. Clerics and druids don't get it, and the bat suit can fly. Every episode, he's flying everywhere. He flies in the middle of combat. I just couldn't do it. So at level 7, the only thing he can't do is fly. But if you level up the druid another few levels of eventually wild shape, you can wild shape into a flying creature. It'll take a pretty big investment in druid, but you can eventually get that, or get magic items, a wingsuit or boots of flying. There's tons of different ways. That is the only thing I could not recreate, and I spent, I'm not kidding, hours trying to find a way to work around this, and unfortunately the limitations of the Adventurers League just wouldn't let me do it. However, literally everything else with this character fits. I mean, he I think you could play Terry McGinnis in D&D really accurately, and I gotta say, I'm kind of proud I was able to make Batman a cleric druid, which is a weird combo just in general. So I just love it. But personality traits, this is just stuff that I kind of put in there. But this is the actual quote, because like I said, for the Bond, I like to try and use a quote from the show. And this is directly from the show. Every time I put on that suit, it's my chance to help people who are in trouble. I guess on a personal level, it's my chance to look like a worthwhile human being again, in my eyes. No one else's. And that's such an interesting thing about Terry's character versus Batman's, Bruce's character. Bruce did this as a way to kind of deal with his own inner demons, and to almost as a revenge kind of thing. When you look at the Batman Begins the things, the idea, I'm not the hero you deserve, I'm the hero you need, the things like that, but Batman just has this overwhelming sense that this is what he has to do because he can. Terry is very different. Terry feels that he himself, he's wasted his life, that he's just not a good person. He doesn't have many friends. He underachieves in school. He's gotten in with the wrong kind of people on a fairly regular basis. And with his dad dead well before this series start, his mom has had to deal with raising basically a delinquent until he becomes Batman. So he has this incredible low self-esteem and low opinion of himself, and he puts on the cowl in the suit itself because it's a way to redeem himself, to make up for the fact of everything he's put his mother through, everything he's put his family through, and all the things he could have been but didn't, based on his choices. Now, an interesting thing about that quote, later on in that episode, Bruce tells him flat out, it's like, you're a worthwhile human being without the suit. Don't forget that. But this really gives you an amazing look into why Terry is Batman. It's almost a penance for him. And I like that. I think that's a really interesting character trait. And back, I forgot to mention the background. He's chaotic good, obviously, but I gave him the investigator background because he's Batman. Like, how could he not have the investigator background? He just had to. Yeah, that's Batman. As always, if you want to pick up the character sheet, it'll be on my Patreon. It's patreon.com/trainerdrody. You can download it for free. You don't have to be my patron. It's just a really easy place for me to host those files and the things like that. If you would like to become a patron and help me be able to, buy books and stuff like that for D&D and expand the stuff I can create these characters out of, there's always a little link in the description as well. In the comments, I took a very bizarre class combo to create Batman on purpose. If you were to create Batman Beyond, how would you do it? What classes would you use? What feats? I want to know how someone more sane than I am would deal with the fact that Batman does have a just massive variety of abilities, and finding ways to put those into D&D is remarkably interesting and somewhat confusing at times. So I really want to hear what you guys think as far as how you would make them. Also in the comments, I'm actually running low on suggestions for player faves. I think I have like 2 or 3 left. So yes, what other characters do you want to see me create in D&D? They don't have to be superheroes or anything like that. I created Peppa Pig once on a dare. Yeah, any character you want, leave their name in the comments down below. I will put them on my list and get to them as I go through more of these. Otherwise, that's all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right, bye bye.